You don't open your eyes. Your eyes open for you. Something pulls you back, not gently, like a rope tied around your soul, yanked from wherever you were. And the first thing you feel isn't confusion. It's weight. The weight of 3,000 years of silence pressing down on your chest.
The first breath. You are wrapped. Every inch of you, arms, legs, face, bound in linen so old it has fused with your skin. You don't panic. You don't know what panic is yet. Your mind is a dark room with one flickering light. You remember a name. Yours. You remember a river, wide and golden in the late afternoon sun. You remember being important. And then you remember dying. Not the pain of it, just the moment before, the face of a priest leaning over you, whispering something you couldn't quite hear. You push against the wrappings. They crack, brittle, ancient, dissolving at your touch like paper left in rain. You sit up. The room you're in is white, bright, humming with a sound you've never heard before. A low mechanical drone that seems to come from everywhere and nowhere. A box of glass in the corner glows blue. You don't know what it is. You don't know what anything is. But your legs swing off the table on their own because some part of you, the oldest part, still remembers how to survive.
The world outside. The door isn't locked. They didn't think you'd wake up. Nobody does. You step into a corridor. Long, white, sterile. Men and women in pale coats move past you and then stop, frozen, staring at you with expressions you can't yet read. One of them drops a flat, glowing rectangle. It shatters on the floor. You look down at your hands. Gray-brown skin, wrapped in places, fingers like carved wood. You look up at the long glass wall to your left, and for the first time in 3,000 years, you see your own reflection. You don't recognize the face, but the eyes are yours, still dark, still sharp, still carrying something ancient behind them. Someone screams. You walk toward the glass wall, not because you want to escape, because outside, through that glass, you can see something that doesn't make sense. A city, towers of silver and light stretching into a gray sky, thousands of moving metal objects rushing through stone paths below. You press your hand against the glass. It's cold. Everything here is cold. In your time, cold meant the desert at night, temporary, familiar, safe. This cold is different. This cold feels permanent.
What they want from you. They don't let you leave. Not yet. They put you in a room, comfortable by their standards, with soft surfaces and warm light, and a screen on the wall that shows moving images. A man comes to see you. Older, silver hair, calm in the way that powerful people are calm, not because they're at peace, but because they've never had a reason to be afraid. He speaks. You don't understand his language, but you understand his tone. He wants something. They always want something. In your past life, you were used to that. Priests, generals, pharaohs, everyone who stood close to power wanted a piece of it. He shows you objects, old ones, things from your world, carved stone, amulets, scrolls sealed in wax. He points to them. He points to you. He's saying, you know these. Help us understand them. You study his face. Behind the calm is desperation. Whatever these objects are, they matter. They matter enough to justify keeping you alive, not out of compassion, but out of need. You think of the priest who leaned over you before you died. You think of the thing he whispered. And for the first time since waking, you feel something sharp move through your chest. Not fear, recognition. These objects aren't random artifacts. They are pieces of something that was never meant to be found. And somehow, impossibly, you are the only person alive who knows what they mean.
Memory like floodwater. The memories don't come back gently. They come back like floodwater, rushing in without warning. You're sitting at the table with the silver-haired man, and suddenly you're not. You're standing in a temple. Torchlight, the smell of incense and copper. You are not an ordinary man being remembered.
You are a Sem priest, a keeper of rites, trusted with the knowledge that the pharaoh himself was not permitted to hold. You oversaw burials, not simple ones, not the burials of soldiers or merchants, the burials of things. Objects wrapped in ritual and sealed beneath stone because they were too dangerous to destroy and too powerful to leave unguarded. And then, a flash, you're in a back chamber deep below the temple, a room no map acknowledged, no record named. You were betrayed. Someone told the wrong person what you were protecting, and they came for it. You come back to the white room. The silver-haired Nain is watching you carefully. He doesn't know what just happened behind your eyes. But you do. Those objects on the table, the ones he thinks are historical curiosities, are not curiosities. They are the locks, which means somewhere out there is the key, and somewhere out there is the door, the other side of the glass. They let you out eventually, carefully, with guards who try not to look like guards. The city hits you like a physical force, sound first, relentless, layered, overwhelming, then smell, oil, food, something chemical and sharp that burns the back of your throat. Then movement, everything moving, always moving, the whole world in permanent restless motion. In your time, stillness was sacred. This world is terrified of stillness. You observe. You always were a good observer. Within 2 weeks, you understand more than they think you do. You understand that the moving metal objects, cars, follow paths, rules. You understand that the glowing rectangles, phones, are how these people speak to each other without touching. You understand that the silver-haired man, Dr. Harlan, works for a group that operates outside of what this society calls the government, a quiet group, funded privately, operating in buildings that don't appear on any public record. And you understand something else, something they haven't told you, but that you've pieced together from fragments, overheard conversations, expressions that shifted when they thought you weren't watching. You are not the first mummy they've woken up.
The others, there are 3 of them, kept separately, in different facilities. You know this because on the 14th day, Dr. Harlan makes a mistake. He leaves a file open on the table between you, a photograph. 3 individuals, gray-skinned, wrapped at the joints, eyes open, standing in separate white rooms. He closes the file quickly, but you have already seen it. And now the questions restructure themselves. Why 3? Why these 3 specifically? You were a Sem priest, the keeper of hidden objects. Who were the others? In the old world, there were roles: the keeper, the seeker, the destroyer. 3 roles assigned to 3 individuals at the founding of the Hidden Order, the one no historical record speaks of, because the order itself burned every record it ever created. The keeper held the objects. The seeker knew where the door was. The destroyer knew what happened if it was opened. Your blood goes cold, not metaphorically. Literally, you feel it, a chill that moves through ancient veins that have no business functioning. Dr. Harlan doesn't know what he has. He thinks he's collecting archaeological subjects. He doesn't know he's reassembled a ritual. And he doesn't know that the ritual, once reassembled, cannot be stopped. Not by him, not by anyone.
What the priest whispered. You finally remember the full sentence. It comes at 3 a.m. in the white room, in the silence between the mechanical hums. You are lying still, the way you used to lie still in the temple when the rituals required it, and the memory surfaces whole and complete, like something rising from deep water. The priest's face above you, his lips moving, and the words, "If they wake you, it is already too late for them. The door opens from your side, not theirs." You stare at the ceiling, the white, humming modern ceiling of a world that has no idea what it has done. They woke you because they wanted answers. They didn't understand that waking you was the answer. That your resurrection, yours and the Seekers and the Destroyers, wasn't a side effect of their curiosity. It was a mechanism, built 3,000 years ago by people who understood that the door could only be opened by the living. And now you are living. All 3 of you.
The door. You don't tell Dr. Harlan any of this. You let him believe he's making progress. You point to objects. You gesture at symbols. You give him enough to feel like he's winning. Meanwhile, you learn. You learn the layout of the facility. You learn which guards rotate at which hours. You learn that the other 2, the Seeker and the Destroyer, are being held 40 minutes away by car. Different building, same white walls, same false sense of control.
You learn that Dr. Harlan's organization has been searching for the door for 11 years. They found references to it in an excavation site outside Luxor in 2015. A sealed chamber, walls covered in text that no existing translation method could fully decode. Because the text wasn't written to be decoded, it was written to be remembered by you. On the 31st day, you asked Dr. Harlan for a piece of paper and something to write with. He looked surprised. He didn't know you could write their script yet. You can't fully, but you don't need to write words. You draw a shape, a specific shape, a symbol you haven't thought about consciously, but that your hand produces perfectly from muscle memory 3,000 years old. Dr. Harlan stares at it. His face goes white, because he's seen that symbol before, on the wall of the sealed chamber in Luxor, at the very center, surrounded by everything else. He looks at you. You look at him. And you say your first word in his language, one you've been practicing quietly, alone, in the small hours of the night. Ready.
The consequence. They take you to Luxor. Private plane, armed escort. Dr. Harlan barely sleeping the entire journey. The sealed chamber is exactly as you remember it, except smaller somehow, the way all childhood places feel smaller when you return to them. You walk the perimeter. You touch each symbol in sequence. The seeker is already there when you arrive, brought separately, standing at the far wall with the expression of someone who also just remembered everything. You don't speak to each other. You don't need to. The destroyer arrives 40 minutes later, shorter than you remember, same eyes. Dr. Harlan and his team are set up around the edges of the chamber with equipment, recording devices, sensors, lights. They think they're about to witness a historical discovery. They think they are in control of this moment. You position yourselves at the 3 marked points on the floor, points that have been there for 3,000 years, waiting. The moment all 3 of you are standing where you're supposed to stand, the room changes. Not dramatically, not with light or sound or Hollywood spectacle, just a shift in pressure, like the world taking a breath. Dr. Harlan steps forward. What's happening? You don't answer, because what's happening isn't something that has words in his language. What's happening is an ending of one thing and a beginning of another. What's happening is exactly what was always going to happen from the moment they found that first sealed chamber and decided, with all the confidence of a species that has existed for a fraction of a heartbeat compared to what lies on the other side of this door, that they should open it. The walls begin to hum, the same frequency as the white rooms, the same frequency as the modern world's machinery. Not a coincidence. Never a coincidence. The door was always here. They built their whole world on top of it without knowing. Dr. Harlan is saying something. You can't hear him anymore. You can only hear the door. And on the other side of it, something that has been waiting 3,000 years for this exact moment, waiting patiently, the way only very old things know how to wait. The last thing you see before the light takes everything is Dr. Harlan's face. And finally, you understand the expression you couldn't read on that very first day in the corridor. It wasn't fear. It was awe. And now, too late, it is both. The door opens, and the world that built white rooms and silver towers and glowing rectangles, the world that dug up the past without asking whether the past wanted to be found, takes its first step into something it has no name for. You were the key. You were always the key. The priest knew, and now, so do you.